All right, so I'm going to dive right in. As Nate said, I'm Michael Cinquino. I'm the co-founder of Soho Creative Studio. I give this presentation in the Connect and Collab group, and I've done some upgrades since then because I knew I was going to be talking to you all. And the AKA, another name for this seminar, is how to foster more meaningful connection through Zoom. How to foster more meaningful connection. And then I asked myself, well, how do you know if it's more meaningful? And the answer that I came up with was that when you come in contact with someone on Zoom, are you different at the end of that meeting? Meaning, are you thinking differently, feeling differently, or are you going to do differently as a result of it, or maybe all three? That's how you know if the connection was meaningful. Something has changed, okay? We help small business owners create more meaningful connection through Zoom in this instance, because people are more likely to do business with you if there's more meaningful connection. To be honest, what brought me here was totally a vanity project. When I started on a path to upgrade my Zoom setup, it wasn't because I wanted to create more meaningful connection. It was because I got tired of looking at myself like this. This is my webcam on the computer, and I got tired of sounding a microphone like this. So like most of us, in early 2020, I started living on this platform, Zoom. I spent a lot of time on it. And as you can see, I'm kind of blown out. And if I go closer to the light, I'm even more blown out. And I would look at myself, I'm like, this is terrible. I'm a professional photographer. I just need to look better. You see, this is a very wide angle camera, so my partner's gonna kill me. You see our clothes and laundry over here. This is awful. So this was not an ideal setup for me. And I asked myself a question, is there a way to use a professional camera with Zoom? And it took me a little while. And there was some software I had to find, and there was trial and error. And I'm not gonna take you through all that. I'd like to just kind of show you how it works. But I did find a way to use a professional camera. And as a result of that, it started on another journey, and I realized that people were commenting on my Zoom setup, and they were saying, oh, this looks great. And I know that audiences only recognize change. Audiences only recognize change. What does that mean? That means when you're watching a TV show nowadays, or a movie, certainly that's shot recently, it's cut, 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 cut. They're always changing things because we only pay attention when something changes. So one of the main benefits of upgrading your Zoom setup and kind of leveling up on sound, light, camera, whatever, you're going to stand out from people that didn't do that, because most people aren't doing this. So let me just take you behind the scenes. I'm going to walk over and just flip this and give you a second angle so you can see both of these things. Great, awesome. Oh, it's kind of sideways. We don't want that. There we go. Cool. Set it up that way. Awesome. Great. Okay. So this is what I wanted to show you here. So this is my upgraded Zoom setup, and I just want to take you through all the elements, and I can show you how each of them work. So first off, I've got a ring light here. So this is one upgrade that you can do. This is not an expensive element, and I've got a sheet at the end of the session where you can kind of click on all these things and see them and purchase them for yourself if you so desire. So I'm just going to turn off my ring light here. See, that has some effect. It's actually better for the camera that doesn't know what it's doing. So I've got a ring light here. Lighting is important. I've also got a window here. And as you see, one of the downs for the webcam is that you can't control exposure. So if I get closer to the window, this is bad. So the first thing we want to think about in upgrading a Zoom setup is lighting. Lighting is one of the easiest upgrades you can do. I like to use a window. And as you can see, again, when it's working, the window light can be pretty flattering. But the problem with window light is it's uncontrollable. So it's a cloudy day now, which is good because it's going to stay the same. But if it were a sunny day, one of the main issues I have with a window is that if a cloud comes, you're going to get darker. The color temperature changes, and it looks kind of weird. And for someone particular about how things look and I want consistency, that doesn't work so well. Also, if you don't have a big window, it doesn't work. Also, if you zoom at night, it doesn't work. So if you're zooming at night or don't have a window, a ring light is a good thing to use. Now, I'm just going to switch back to my other camera here. This is great. So this is just window light on my professional upgraded camera. If I turn on the ring light, if you watch my face here, boom, it's a little bit nicer, right? A little bit more full. The size of the light is important. You want to, I like ring lights because you want a large light in comparison to the size of the subject, which is my head in this case. My head could probably fit in the middle of the ring light. Okay, a larger light is going to be more flattering. It's going to be softer. I put it a little off to the side because I like a little bit of contrast and I don't like having those little circular things in my eyes. So this ring light here, as you can see, it's a little bit more flattering of just the window light. Yeah, kind of dull here. My eyes look kind of dead. But when I get some light in my eyes and I get it reflecting off my face, I've created a contrast between myself and the background, which looks nice, especially in the winter when we're not able to have the sun and tan. So that's one thing we can do right there. The big thing in this respect is I use a DSLR, which is right up here, okay, as my webcam. There is a software that enables me to do this. It's called Castable Pro Webcam. I just brought it up on the screen here if you can see it. I love it because you can control the camera settings right from the software here. So one of the main things I love about this is that I can control the angle of view. If you're not familiar with angle of view, if I go back to the FaceTime camera, now this is the web, now I'm back here. This is a very wide angle of view. I don't like this, okay? I like to be framed kind of tight. And back to the connection part, if I'm framed like this, you connect more with my face and who I am. If I'm doing this, and you might need to gesture, sometimes a wide angle is good, and this camera can do that. I'll show you in a moment. This I don't love. Also for safety reasons, and I mean safety and health reasons, as you can see, I'm still not touching my computer screen. I'm about an arm's length away. So what I like about using a DSLR professional camera is that I can change the angle of view. I can tighten up like that and get real close, or I can widen out because I've got a zoom lens on it. Now you can see I kind of have a background behind me. So what that enables me to do from a health and safety perspective, if you're someone that spends a lot of time on Zoom, I don't have to be right up on the screen, which is good, which is very healthy for my eyes. It's very healthy for me. Also, Zoom fatigue usually happens. One of the main reasons for Zoom fatigue is that we weren't meant to have a human face this close to us unless it was like a loved one for a short period of time. So the human mind gets all messed up when you're this close to the screen. Now, if we go back to my other webcam, so to frame myself similarly, I literally have to get this close. And I'm like, I don't know, 12 inches from the screen. This would be horrible for my eyes. So I like using a professional DSLR because I can get that distance and I can change the angle of view without having to change my distance to the screen. Now this is a standing desk here because I like to stand. It can very well go down. So that's another thing I add. So we've got light, we've got camera, and there are many options on either one of these things here. These are just the two that I happen to use. This is a Canon 70D with a Sigma zoom lens on it. It's a 1.8 aperture lens. If that means anything to you, 18 to 35 millimeter. One of the other easiest upgrades is a microphone. I don't know if I've had it on. Let's see here. Boom. So this is with an upgraded microphone. Maybe you're able to hear a difference, maybe you're not. I like this because the sound is a little bit richer. So I'm using an upgraded mic here. Really the distance, if you want to have awesome sound, is about 2 fists from the microphone. Okay. This is a much better microphone than the internal. I like using this microphone. As you can see, I can't get it that close to me. When I want it to sound good, I put it right about there. Now, here's the thing. If there's one thing that you do to upgrade your Zoom setup, upgrade sound. Audiences will forgive not awesome looking Zoom setup or whatever that is. They won't forgive sound, okay? And there's a big reason behind this. If someone has to struggle to hear you, okay, their brain is gonna have to burn way more calories than if they don't. So think about this for a second. If you're prospecting on Zoom, I do a lot of that. I do a lot of client meetings, a lot of proposals. If my audience, if my prospect, if my client has to struggle to hear me, they have to do more work than if they don't. I don't want my clients doing it. I don't want anybody I talk to on Zoom doing any more work. I want to make sure that I'm heard clearly and well without any sort of obstruction. So I'm just going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Switching to the other one, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. This is the speaker on the computer. It doesn't sound as good. It might not be a huge difference, but every little bit matters. I'm gonna go back to the regular mic. So those are the three elements. You have sound, you have the light, and you have the camera. Okay, there are some other things that to think about here, and not necessarily like right or wrong, but again, everything I'm talking about here, I've learned that it lends itself to more meaningful connection. Camera angle is important, okay? I've got the camera about an inch above eye line. It's another reason why I like using a camera. This camera is independent of the computer. Now I have everything bolted to this desk here. So if you watch the second angle here, I can lower the whole thing down when I want to sit. Okay, I can lower this whole thing down, boom, and then I could sit down here and have this conversation like this when I want to sit down. Okay, so everything moves up and down with the standing desk. I like having a standing desk. Hashtag sitting is the new standing. We all know that. I don't like to sit all day. I'm in front of the computer a lot. So this whole setup allows me to move things up and down. Now, camera angle. I'm going to go back to the wide angle webcam. Okay. This is an okay camera angle. This is not okay. It's not as okay. We don't want to be looking down. It's much harder for audiences to connect with us when we're looking down upon them and they're looking up our nose. The nostrils are not the windows to the soul, it's the eyes. So when the camera's a little bit too low, it's harder for you to connect with me. It might not register on a conscious level, but I guarantee you on a subconscious level, it's going to register. So that's one thing. Another not so great angle is way, way, way down, okay? Way underneath the camera is not awesome. It's not good. It's not as flattering. Moving it up to a place where it's just above eye line can be very, very, very helpful. I'm going to bring my desk back up because I like standing and I'm very mindful of the angle. Great, there. This is the ideal angle that they would use in any sort of video shoot or photo shoot or on set. I'm just going to refer to my notes over here. That's the basic of the technical, and I'm going to leave a bunch of time for questions, but that's the basic of the technical. So to just do a quick review, a light over your computer, laptop, whatever, really makes a difference. Again, I'm just going to show you the contrast there. Off, and that's with window light. I've got window light going on here. So without that light, you can see a contrast. I'm using one thing I didn't mention, I'm using a background behind me. You don't have to do that. I'm doing that just as another option. Everybody's kind of got an opinion on backgrounds. Sometimes when we're working from home, we might have family members behind us, kids at home, stuff like that. So sometimes this is a 4:6 gray backdrop. It can be helpful to have that to kind of create your own little Zoom room here. Not everybody has like 20 rooms in their house. I get that, or a dedicated Zoom room. So I like this simply because, and maybe I can widen out and see it, simply because I'm able to create my own environment here. Also, I remove clutter, okay? Back to contrast, okay? This is a neutral background. The human eye looks at the brightest thing on a screen first. Oh, no, forgive me. The thing that's moving first, then the brightest thing, and then the most saturated thing. So photographically, I've created a situation here where, of course, I'm moving. I'm also the brightest thing because this is a lower tone than what's happening here on my skin tone from the light. And then I'm also the most saturated because this is a neutral tone behind me. So I intentionally put a neutral gray behind me. Now, if you give me a moment, I'm going to knock this thing down so you can see what it looks like without it. Right. So here's the room behind me. You can see a difference there, right? I've got this going on behind me. I've got a light behind me to lift things up a little bit like that. But I prefer the look of the gray. So that's the technical. Again, we talked light, we talked camera. There's a lot of options there. I like the DSLR. It's a very cinematic look, and I have total control over everything. That's why I like it. There's a software that I use called Castable Pro Webcam. It allows me to change the settings. So if I need to go darker, I can go darker on the camera. I can just change the aperture. If I need to go lighter, I can change that. And because I'm in front of a window, I do have to adjust it throughout the day. I'm not able to do that on the webcam. There is software that enables you to do it on the webcam, but again, the webcam is very wide angle and low quality. And I don't love it. But consider a software to kind of change the exposure if you need to, because you don't always control light if you have a window there. So we talked about the camera, we talked about the software. Microphone, there's a $29 microphone. This is a little bit of an upgraded microphone. There's a $29 microphone I can recommend. It's plug and play. You literally just plug it into the USB. It's plug and play into Zoom. It works very, very, very well, again, to upgrade your sound, or sometimes putting headphones in or ear pods in can be very helpful for sound. So the takeaways are, if you do one upgrade, make sure it's a sound upgrade. Lighting really matters. And if you want to go all out, you can definitely talk about upgrading your camera. Just a few communication tips on Zoom. Again, like most of us, I don't know how many, I'm going to rub my face because I don't know how many hours I've spent, hundreds of hours probably on Zoom since 2020. I'm just going to give some things that I have noticed that are helpful and also not helpful. Do not multitask. If you've called a one-to-one meeting for somebody and you're off over here while they're talking and it's not taking notes. So if I'm typing when I'm on a one-to-one with someone, I literally make sure to tell them, hey guys, I'm just taking notes on our meeting. I'm not doing anything else. So as you're talking, I might be taking some notes. Multitasking is the fastest way to grade connection. Simply because you're literally telling that person you're not as important or of equal importance to the thing over here and you're not worthy of my full attention. So if you're going to call a one-to-one meeting, making yourself fully available for that person is key. We talked about being mindful of the camera angle and the background. Background does matter to a certain degree. One of the big things that happens to people, I see it, is having a window behind you and no light in front of you. So what'll happen is, and I'll try to recreate it here. I don't know if I'll be able to do it because I don't have a window behind me, but I'm going to kill the light in front. Look how terrible this is the wide angle lens. Again, my partner's going to kill me for showing you my bedroom. So this is the wide angle lens. I'm going to kill the light in front of me. Ring light. Great. So that's off. And then if you have a bright light behind you, that's not bright enough. But sometimes what will happen is if you don't have something in front of you, you'll literally have dead eyes and look terrible. So remember what I talked about a second ago, people will pay attention to the brightest thing in the screen. If the brightest thing in the screen is behind you, you're going to pull attention away from you. Just subconsciously, they're going to be looking at that and it's going to be a distraction. This looks terrible. So I'm going to go back to this right here and I'm going to turn my light back on. Set an intention before the call. My intention before this call was to share some tips and tricks on how to foster more meaningful connection through Zoom. So that's my filter for the call. And I think to myself, Michael, everything you say and do needs to go towards that one thing. Everything that I'm addressing here needs to go towards that one singular intention of how to foster more meaningful connection. No matter what your call is, it might be to get to know more about their business. It might be to just do a catch up. It might be to cheer them up. It might be to hear their why. Whatever that is, it's always good to just set a clear intention with your Zoom calls. I like to put it in the notes section of my calendar. Stay in the moment and start from where you are. An acting teacher once said, as long as you're willing to state the truth, that'll always take you somewhere. So if you see them and they're wearing a really cool necklace that you love, that's the moment. The moment is, that's a great necklace. Where'd you get it? Start there, even if the intention is, hey, we want to discuss budgeting for X, Y, Z. Always stay in the moment, and then eventually you'll get right back onto your intention. And it's a good way to kind of get people out of their head and into the moment. Avoid the biggest mistake people make on camera. The biggest mistake we make on camera, and it's very easy to make on Zoom because I am looking at myself right now, is to think it's about us. And the more we think it's about us and make it about us, the more nervous we get, the less interesting we are to ourselves and to others. And the more difficult a meaningful connection is. Make it all about the other person. Make it about your audience. And if there's one note I can give you for Zoom connection, it's having compassion for your audience. The more compassionate you are for your audience, the better things go. And it takes that pressure off yourself that you have to perform or you have to be something. You don't. You have to make it all about the other person and put all of your attention on them. And I guarantee you, they're going to walk away from that call and be like, I really like them. They're really awesome. And they're not going to know why, but it's because you paid attention to them. They said this of Marilyn Monroe. It's why everybody wanted to be around her, because she always made it about the other person. They said that she made you feel like you were the only person in that room. What a cool way to make somebody feel. We talked a little earlier on recognizing change. Audiences only recognize change. So the more you can create contrast in a call, the better. I can go into that another time. There are ways to do that. Changing pacing, pausing, talking a little bit slower, a little bit lower, changing what you do with your voice, what you do with your words are going to make the human brain pay attention a little more. And I want to end with this, and then looks like we'll have about 15 for Q&A. On movie sets and TV sets, the only people that they refer to as the talent are those that step in front of the camera. It's true. Now, the director of photography, the production designer, costume designer, camera person, they're not talented or less talented than the actors. Be that as it may, you are only considered the talent unless you're in front of the camera. And if you think about this for a second, it makes total sense. Because how often have you said, have you seen the new Tom Hanks film? Well, it's not a film that Tom Hanks directed, it's Tom Hanks acted in. He might not have even been producer in the film. So it's like the new Tom Hanks film. Actually, it's a new Steven Spielberg film because it's his film because he's the director. But we don't connect to Steven because he's not in front of the camera. Those who are in front of the camera get to be called talent. So in your business, the more visible you are, the more you show up on camera, the better chance you have of creating that meaningful connection. Whereas the more we avoid the camera, the more we don't commit to it and make it work for us and for our business, the less chance you have of creating that meaningful connection, and the better chance someone else has that's doing it of booking that customer or client. Now, how valued is being on camera and being able to be on camera and have people connect to you and feel that they're connected to you? Keanu Reeves spoke a total of 638 words in the Matrix 2 and 3, not the first one, but 2 and 3. So in those two films, he spoke a total of 638 words. Because he's who he is, and because we want to see him so much, and because we feel so connected to him, Keanu made $159,393 per word. That's how valuable it is to be able to do this well. Now, to say nothing of the fact that he also gifted $75 million to the special effects and costume people, which equated to about $1 million per person, because he's that kind of guy. But that's it. I'm going to turn, well, I'll leave this on if you want it on, but if you all want to come back and pop your cameras on, we have about 15 more minutes for questions. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Nate. I don't know if you're muted. There you go.
Yeah. So welcome back, everybody. Feel free to pop your cameras back on. There was a few of you that I had hidden your cameras. So if you need me to unhide you, I can probably do that, but I think you should be able to bring yourself back. And yep, I'm getting some of those right now. So yeah, I'll turn it back over to Michael.
Cool. I'm open for questions. I would, at the end, I leave just a minute at the end. I wanted to just share how we can help you a little further on this, but if you have any questions, I'm all ears. I'm totally open. Rebecca.
I know this came up during our meeting and it was super helpful. People who wear glasses, how should they position their lighting so it avoids the glare?
Up and to the left, up and to the right, Rebecca. Or if you can, over the top. I do not have glasses in, well, yes, I do. When you're on the computer. So as you can see, there is a little glare. So number one, anti-glare lenses. If you have those, that's really the best way to go. But if I get the light a little higher, I can move the light up, which is hard for me to do now, but I'm just kind of, what's the word, showing. So if I get down, you see that? I've taken the glare out of the glasses, okay? But here, the light's a little closer. So if you make the angle a little bit more severe of the light, here, oh, good, you have two angles. I forget that. So if this went up higher, it would have the same effect of me going lower. And behind the computer, I've got, this is on a pole and this is on a pole. And they're poles that vary in, I'll take these off. They're poles that vary in height. So I have total control. The camera can go higher or lower. This can go higher or lower. And it's independent of the monitor. not of my desk because they're on the desk, but it's independent of the monitor. Great question.
Yeah. We have a question in the chat, Michael, from Joy. Said, love the presentation. Wanted to know if you had any suggestions for travel equipment.
Travel equipment. Ooh, what a great question.
Yeah.
So when I'm traveling, it can be a little bit difficult because, as you see, this is not a travelable setup. It can be, depending on what kind of travel you're doing. If you're getting on a plane, you probably don't want to bring a ring light with you. So when I'm on the road, I go back to that window. I try to find a window wherever I am and to position the camera in front of that window. That's the one thing is, so I can leave the lighting at home. The mic I take, there's a little bit of a smaller mic than this. It's small. It's about yay big. So that I always take my mic with me. Like I said earlier, if you can just upgrade your sound on the road, you're leaps and bounds against beyond anybody who is not doing that. So that's my suggestion there. There are little lights that go on your computer, but back to the concept of the bigger the light, the more flattering. Those little clippy lights can put a little bit of light in your eyes, but sometimes the effect isn't so great. They don't really work so well. I tried them in the beginning. I thought they'd work on a laptop. They weren't awesome. So I'd say window light if you can, hopefully. If it's at night, putting the lights in front of you, positioning yourself. So like maybe if there's overhead lights, put those in front of you and nothing behind you. That tends to work well.
Another one. What are your thoughts on that improve my appearance video setting in Zoom?
I say go with lighting first. It can touch up your appearance. I mean, all right, you're talking to a photographer who retouches his own photos so he looks better. So yes, on the retouch your appearance thing, I don't use it. I think on this simply because I have good light and I've got a good thing here. But as long as it's not distracting, I'd say we don't want anything to stand out. So if it makes you look like way over photoshopped, I would say that would be a distraction and not a help. So that's my 2 cents. As long as we don't see it, we want to connect with you. And I'll also say one more thing about that, Rebecca. I totally feel you because again, this was a vanity project. But we don't see ourselves the way other people do. As human beings, we tend to look at the stuff on our face that we hate the most first and then go backward. Nobody else does that but us. We're the only ones that do that. So that's also something to bear in mind. Again, making it about the other person. Just a quick note, in the chat, I dropped a PDF of all the gear that I use. So if you download that PDF and then click on the item, it will take you, I think, to Amazon or wherever it's linked, and you can take a look at it and purchase it. Again, the microphone's, I think, the least expensive upgrade on that list. Any other questions, comments, thoughts? I don't know if you were talking, Nate. I got Jennifer. Yes.
Oh, I think you were talking, Nate, but we couldn't hear you.
I asked if anyone else had questions, but yes, go ahead, Jen.
Oh, okay. Well, since you know also about pacing and pausing and all that, what is the best way for people that have trouble ending a Zoom call that they're leading to end the call?
Oh, well, you bring up a really good note about facilitation. So one of the things that you'll note that I did in the beginning is to tell you how this was going to go and what I was going to do. We're going to do this, 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 and this. I try to keep it to 3 because that's how our brains work. So let me get more specific, Jen. Do you mean cutting somebody off or gracefully exiting a call or?
Well, I mean, like when I lead calls, I tend to just blah, blah, blah on. And like, it's helpful for me. And I don't know if it's a good thing. I encourage people to keep their mics on so they could laugh or something, because I guess I'm just always going for a laugh or a noise.
No, I get it.
And then I'm just like, I guess we're over. And I don't know. I just need some like basic direction. And I feel like you've taken, everything. So.
Well, I don't know anything, but I'll tell you what I do. Again, I set the intention for the call. So the intention for this call was, and it's the filter by which I'm doing everything, how to foster more meaningful connection through Zoom. So everything I do has to be towards that. So as far as ending the call, and I kind of set the tone early, I'm like, okay, here's what we're going to do. And then I said, we're going to do questions. And then I said, we're going to leave a minute for me at the end to say something. So basically I give everybody the structure of the call first. And I totally feel you on the microphone thing, because I love back and forth interaction. And sometimes not hearing anybody saying a joke and not hearing anybody, I'm like, did they not think that was funny, and I suck, or did they think it was funny? I didn't hear them. So I think that's a really great note, Jennifer, on inviting people to keep their microphones on. And I'd also say on calls, I really invite people to stay engaged. I get it. We have a lot of things going on. We're doing this, we're doing something else. We're all very busy. But whenever possible, I try to invite my audience to stay singular, stay just with this call. Again, I understand, like, I look at my calendar like, man, I got to send that email. So I understand that there can be a little give and take there. But engaging the audience and asking questions in the beginning is also a thing. So on a lot of my calls, I try to throw a curveball, and I say, who's going first? Or I just pick somebody out and be like, Rebecca, what's your favorite food? Like to literally do something that might be completely off course, because the human brain's going to go, wait a second, whoa, I have to pay attention. I'm off guard. So I think getting your audience off guard and gently getting your audience off guard in the beginning can be a very valuable thing to do. So if it is this thing we're going to talk about, maybe just in the beginning, hit one person with, hey, what's the last movie you saw, or something like that. And then people might be like, oh crap, he might call on me. I got to pay attention. I got to pay attention here. I do at my networking groups, the ones that I actually lead. And most of the time people hate me for this, but it makes for a more engaged meeting. And then exiting is just like, we're done. And sometimes you just have to cut people off. Like I keep looking at the time and be like, we're done. Great. Awesome. Thank you for that. We got to end on time. And for me, when I say it's for the benefit of everybody's time, people gave me 45 minutes. I want to be respectful of that. It's 11:09 right now. I'm mindful of it. I'm watching the time up there. So I'm not going to over talk or put you guys in a position where you have to go, okay, I'm done. Thing's over. I hope that was helpful. I talked a lot on that.
It was. Thank you.
Okay, cool. This was fun for me. If you guys have any, yeah, please, Anne.
I do find during the day when I work from home, in my office, I'm pretty good, but during the day at home, I sit in front of a window. It's okay. But then I get night calls. Is that ring light? How am I gonna manage that for when it's dark?
It works really well. Now, one of the things I will say is not to get too complicated, because first off, I'm not a technical person. I understand how to get what I want, but I'm not someone that understands really deep technical stuff. But I will say this, there is a light behind me for a reason, Anne, okay? It's not night right now, but what happens is that you're gonna use a ring light. It's great for your face, but you don't wanna be a floating head. So I would say for you, if you have lights in your house, okay, yeah, because what'll happen is it's just your head and then there's blackness behind you. So I would say with the ring light, what's that?
It just gets weird.
Yeah.
I'll put a little bit of I have a tiny little ring light that's obviously not the right thing, and it makes me look like a floating head ghost.
Yeah, so you want to have ambient light on. So this light behind me is on at night so that there is a light ratio. So I don't look, so I'm filling the room with a little bit of light, okay?
That doesn't need to be any magical light, just find a light.
No, in your home, like go in the kitchen, like where you are now, just turn the lights on. As long as the lights in there are not competing with the ring light. So at night, I only have one light in front of my face, and it's the ring light. Behind me, I have that little guy right back there. If I'm in the kitchen or something like that, I have overhead lights. I have a lamp on the floor. So I would say turn those on, and you'll see your face, like even here, when I turn just the ring light off, So you'll see here, right? I'm a little darker now, right? So it's the light ratio. That's a little brighter behind me, and I'll kind of turn that up so you see. So that's now the brightest thing in the frame, right? So at night, I don't have it that bright. I have it on enough, and then I have my ring light on. So there's a balance between the lights. So the short answer to your question is, yes, ring lights work really well. At night, though, make sure there's some other ambient light so you're not a weird floating head. I get it. I totally get it. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of us take our calls at night. I get that. Oh, and one more thing about the ring light I recommend. You can control color temperature on it. First of all, it's all through Wi-Fi. So I can control this light on my computer. I turn it on and off through Wi-Fi. It all works through Wi-Fi. I can do it on my phone. Color temperature is important because sometimes in our homes, we have incandescent lights. meaning that they're those warm kind of orange lights. So with this ring light, if you kind of watch my face here, I can go from daylight, which is kind of blue, see that, to warm. So if you, it's hard to see on that guy behind me, but if you watch my face, that's as warm as it goes, and that's as cool as it goes. So right now I have it balanced for daylight, which is about what the window is. So I love this ring light. It's an LED that you can change color temperature. So therefore, Anne, if you're in your home and you have these nice warm lights, which are good for you at night, blue light is bad for you at night. So warm lights around you, you have a light here that is capable of matching the color temperature of those lights. So you don't have a disparity where it's like really orange behind you or you're really blue or something like that. And it's just, there's only two controls on this. It's hard to see from there, but there's just intensity and color temperature. And you can play with those things to your heart's content. And you can just watch your face and make sure that everything looks white. And if I maybe do this in the back, see that? That's orange now back there. So back there, that's orange. That's a little more white and blue. It's the Kelvin scale. Go ahead.
So my next question is that I'm really trying to set up, we have a Zoom room in our office. It has no windows. It is like a storage closet.
No issues?
No windows, nothing. And I'm shopping for a light. And last night, honestly, I'm scrolling on Amazon and I'm reading all the terrible reviews of, oh, I love this light. And the next 10 people say it's junk. So that's why I'm like, oh, wow, you're going to tell me what light to buy. This is awesome.
Yes.
My question is a little bit technical. If it's Wi-Fi controlled, and this is a shared computer that 25 people are going to use, is it Wi-Fi on the computer or to your phone, or where's the
both to your phone or the computer, and you can control it manually. There's manual controls.
I can do it like I need something that's plug and play.
There's manual controls on the light here. If you look at the second camera angle, this is a plus, this is a minus.
Oh, perfect.
Off is back there. You can go up and down on it. And when you get you don't have to use it on Wi-Fi. It works without Wi-Fi. So that's why I love this light, because it's not wildly expensive. It's on par with the other lights you'll get off Amazon, but it's just it just gives beautiful light. The CRI is high, which means it doesn't have a lot of flicker. And the color temperature.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So in my office, it's just going to be manual. Everyone understands that. Then I'll get one for my house, and there I'll go all fancy.
Yes, exactly. And this one here, you can buy a floor stand. So you can just set it anywhere you want. There's a nice little heavy little base that you can buy with it. And when you go to the link, you'll see that. So you can just put it on a base and move it around. So if someone wants to take the light and use it elsewhere, you can just take it and just move it. I have it clipped to the desk because I don't have the room for the base. So there's a desk stand that it clips to. But as you can see, I don't have a lot of space here, right? This is a small thing. So it will clip to most desks back there, but that's the light I do recommend. And I've been through several lights. This is the one that I like the most because it looks the best. It's on par with pricing. You can change the color temperature, and I can just mess with it on my phone if I need to. If you wanted to.
Where's your office? I see construction across the street.
We had a shoot in New York, and so you're looking at Brooklyn right here. You're looking at a building that will probably never be built. So yeah, we had a photo shoot on Saturday and Sunday, and we're heading back up.
That explains why I don't recognize the construction.
Well, no, you know, not that. But this is great because I'm in a New York apartment, and our whole apartment is like 620 square feet. So I'm able to show you this from a very, very small setting. So size matters, size doesn't matter. Like in this case, size matters. So it's important for me to be able to do this in a safe and healthy way in a very small environment. Great questions. We're at 16, I went over, I lied, I failed. Sorry.
It's worth it. Thank you.
Awesome. So just real quick, if you want to hire us to come to your location to do an assessment and look at it and help you do it on site and set the whole thing up, we do that. If you don't like that and you want to do it virtual, we do that. And then last but not least, if you want to get really good at presenting, we're going to be launching group Zoom sessions where you'll come on for 4 to 5 weeks, learn how to talk about your business, do it in front of people. And as my acting teacher, Kelly, would say, you don't get to inject yourself with courage unless you do it in front of other people. That's how you get better. You got to do it in the room with others. So if you're interested in any of those things, you've got my contact information. Feel free to reach out. Thank you so much for doing this. This was a blast for me. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We're going to have more of these programs coming up throughout the spring. And of course, thank you to TD Bank for making this all possible. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Michael. Have a great day.
You too, everyone. Take care.